Welcome back to What Is, the channel where we take a magnifying glass to the weirdest corners of the human experience. Today we're looking at something that has caused more broken friendships, ruined carpets, and awkward family dinners than perhaps anything else in history. We're talking about the practical joke. Picture this. You walk into your office, it's Monday morning. You've got your coffee, you sit down on your swivel chair, expecting to start your spreadsheets. But instead you are greeted by a sound. A loud, flatulent, rubbery the whoopee cushion. A classic. A relic. A masterpiece of lowbrow comedy. But why did your coworker do that? Why did they spend $5 and 10 minutes of their morning sneaking into your cubicle just to make you look like you have gastrointestinal distress? And more importantly, why is everyone else in the office currently doubled over in laughter? Today we're diving deep into the why. We're exploring the psychology of pranks. We'll look at the brain chemistry of a prankster, the fine line between social bonding and bullying, and why some pranks make us laugh while others make us call our lawyers. To understand the prank, we first have to define it. A prank or a practical joke is the mischievous trick played on someone, generally causing them to experience embarrassment, perplexity, confusion, or discomfort. Unlike a verbal joke, which relies on a punchline, a prank relies on a physical or situational reveal. It's a performance where one person doesn't know they're on stage. Psychologists suggest that pranking is actually an evolutionary byproduct. You see, primates, our hairy cousins, engage in something called play fighting. It's a way to test social boundaries and build motor skills without actually killing each other. A prank is essentially the intellectual version of a chimpanzee poking a sleeping lion with a stick. It's high-stakes play. But let's get into the heavy hitters of psychology. There are three main theories that explain why we find it funny when someone slips on a banana peel or finds their car wrapped in cling film. First, we have the superiority theory. This dates back to Plato and Thomas Hobbes. They argued that we laugh when we feel sudden glory. Basically, we laugh because we feel superior to the person who just got fooled. When you see a friend trying to drink out of a dribble glass and soak their shirt, your brain whispers, "Ha, I'm smarter and drier than that person." It's a little dark, sure, but it's a fundamental part of the human ego. Second, there's the incongruity theory. This is the bread and butter of most humor. We laugh when there's a gap between what we expect to happen and what actually happens. You expect the door to open when you turn the handle. If the handle comes off in your hand and a spring-loaded clown pops out, that's an incongruity. Your brain struggles to process the sudden shift in reality, and the glitch results in laughter. And third, we have relief theory. This is the psychological side. Think about a jump scare prank. Your friend hides behind a door and screams. For a split second, your body enters fight or flight mode. Your heart rate spikes, adrenaline floods your system. You might even prepare to swing a punch. Then you realize it's just Dave. Dave is wearing a sheet. You aren't in danger. That massive surge of energy has nowhere to go, so it exits your body as a nervous, explosive laugh. So that's why we laugh. But what about the prankster? What's going on in the mind of a person who spends 3 hours filling a room with 5,000 balloons? Research into the prankster personality often points towards high level of extraversion, and in some cases a dash of Machiavellism. Pranksters enjoy social influence. They enjoy being the director of a situation. There's a certain power dynamic at play. When you prank someone, you are briefly in control of their reality. You are the puppet master, and they are the puppet. However, it's not all about power trips. For many, pranking is a form of social grooming. In many cultures and subcultures, think of sports teams, fraternity houses, or even high-stress jobs like firefighting. Pranking is the rite of passage. Psychologists call this the in-group signaling. If you can take a prank and laugh at yourself, you're signaling to the group that you are resilient and that you have a thick skin, and that you're one of us. It's a way of building trust. I can embarrass you and you won't leave the group, You can embarrass me and I'll still have your back. But here is where things get sticky. Because for every harmless, short-sheeted bed, there's a prank that goes too far. We've all seen the YouTube thumbnails. I stole my girlfriend's car prank, gone wrong, police called. Why do some people lose the ability to tell the difference between a joke and a felony? The answer lies in de-individualization and the bystander effect, especially in the age of the internet. When a prankster is behind a camera or performing for an audience of millions, the victim stops being a human being with feelings and becomes a prop. The dopamine hit from views and likes can override the brain's natural empathy centers. This is where pranking moves from the social play to aggression. The power dynamic becomes one-sided and the victim feels genuine fear or trauma. The brain no longer registers it as a joke. At that point, the superiority theory we mentioned earlier takes over completely. It becomes about dominance, not connection. Interestingly, there is a biological sweet spot for pranks. If a prank is too easy, it's boring. If it's too cruel, it's bullying. The perfect prank requires theory of mind. This is the ability to understand another person's perspective. A good prankster knows exactly how their friend will react. They know their friend's limits. They know that while Sarah might find it funny to find a fake spider in her salad, she would be genuinely devastated if they told her her cat had died. A successful prank is actually an act of deep empathy. You have to know someone perfectly to fool them perfectly. Let's talk about the cultural history for a moment. Pranks aren't a modern invention of TikTokers with bad haircuts. Mankind has been doing this since we figured out how to point and laugh. Ancient Romans had the festival of Saturnalia, where social norms were flipped. Slaves were treated as masters, and mischief was the order of the day. In the Middle Ages, we had the Feast of Fools. Then, of course, there's April Fool's Day. While its exact origins are debated, one popular theory is that it started in 1582, when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. People who were slow to get the news and continued to celebrate the new year in April were called April Fools, and had paper fish pinned to their backs, the Poisson d'Avril. Wait, think about that. People were literally being mocked for not keeping up with a software update to time itself. Humanity hasn't changed a bit. In the 20th century, pranking became a commercial art form. We had candid camera, which started all the way back in 1948. This was the first time we got to see the psychology of the prank play out in real time on our television screens. It revealed a lot about human nature, specifically how much people will put up with just to be polite. The show featured things like a car with no engine rolling into a gas station. People didn't get angry, they got confused. They tried to help. This highlights the psychological trait called social compliance. Most of us want to be helpful, and pranks exploit that kindness. Then came the 2000s, and things got edgier. Jackass took the prank and turned it inward. The pranksters became the victims. This was a fascinating shift. It removed the cruelty to others and replaced it with a display of extreme machoism. We weren't laughing at an innocent bystander, we were laughing at a group of friends who were all consenting to the chaos. This leads us to the psychology of consent in pranking. A prank is often described as a temporary breach of the social contract. In regular life, we agree not to lie to each other. In a prank, that contract is suspended. But for the prank to be good, the contract must be repaired immediately after the reveal. The moment the prankster says it's a joke, look, there's a camera. They're attempting to fix the social breach. If the victim laughs, the contract is restored. If the victim cries or punches the prankster, the repair failed. So why do we keep doing it? Why, despite the risks of lawsuits, punch-ups and losing friends, do we still feel the urge to put plastic wrap over the toilet bowl? Because pranks at their core are a celebration of the unpredictable. We live in a world of schedules, rules, and proper behavior. We wake up, we brush our teeth, we go to work, we pay taxes. It's predictable, it's rote. A prank is a lightning bolt of chaos. It reminds us that reality is fragile. It forces us to stop being professional or serious for a second and forces us to react with our raw lizard brain emotions. When done right, a prank is a gift. It's a story the victim gets to tell for the rest of their life. Remember the time you guys convinced me I won the lottery? It becomes part of the shared mythology of a friendship. In the end, the psychology of pranks isn't about being mean or being silly. It's about the tension between our social shells and our inner children. It's about the thrill of the almost real and the sheer, overwhelming relief of finding out that the world isn't ending. Or that you just have a friend who's a bit of an idiot. So the next time you find your stapler encased in a block of lime jello, don't get mad. Take a moment to appreciate the superiority theory, the incongruity theory, and the relief theory, all happening at once. Then wait. Be patient. Start planning your revenge. Because if psychology tells us anything, it's that the reveal is only the beginning. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mischievous side of the human brain, make sure to hit that like button. It gives us a bigger dopamine hit than a successfully executed hand-in-warm water prank. What's the best prank you've ever pulled or had pulled on you? Let us know in the comments. We read them all, mostly to make sure none of you are planning to prank us. Don't forget to subscribe to What Is for more explorations into science, history, and psychology of, well, everything. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and just maybe check under your chair before you sit down.